Have you ever looked in the mirror and absolutely hated what you saw? Not just the tired eyes or the weight that you've been carrying, but you see shame, you see doubt. You hear a voice when you look in that mirror that says, she had every right to leave. You're not man enough for this, or you're replaceable. You're not needed. Maybe that voice comes from a boss who told you that you're not moving the needle after you gave everything that you had. Or maybe it comes from a family member that never respected you or what you stand for. Maybe you lost your job or you lost your marriage. And now your whole life, it feels like it's flipped upside down. You start to wonder, is this just who I am? And you stare into that mirror and you don't see the man that's worth fighting for anymore. You just see the fragments of the man who used to be. Now, guys, what if I told you today that mirror is a damn liar?
Leaders are not born in a womb. They are forged through heat, pressure, and a whole lot of sweat. The Fire Forged Leader podcast serves the audience through exploring leadership at work, in the community, and with the family, using a practical perspective and real-life experiences from the host, Steve Baumgartner, and his guests in The Forge. Now, it's time to enter the Forge with the Fire Forged Leader.
Before we dive deeper into this episode, I want to tell you about this shirt that I'm wearing today. You know, as you can see, it says, all my role models went to prison. Underneath that, it has these names: Jesus, Paul, Joseph, Daniel, Peter, and John. Men who were locked up. They were misunderstood. They were prosecuted. Not because they're weak, but because they were too dangerous to the darkness. Men who stood for truth, no matter the cost. And I wear this shirt today with purpose. And the reason why I'm telling you about it is because a lot of you reach out to me asking where I get these kind of shirts that have these big, bold messages on them. Here's the deal. This guy doesn't wear anything, any message that I don't believe in. Every shirt, every phrase is intentional. It's personal. This one is from an organization that I deeply respect. We Fight Monsters. I talk about them continuously on this podcast. They're on the front lines fighting the war against addiction, human trafficking, and suffering. And they stand for truth in a world that loves lies. Now, if you want gear that speaks for you, that represents something much bigger in this world, I want you to go check them out. You can find them at www.wefightmonsters.org. It's a .org. It's not sponsored here, guys. This is not something I get paid to do. It's simply a cause that I believe in, and maybe you should too. All right, let's get into this episode. I recently saw this image that absolutely stopped me in my tracks, guys. And it was a man staring into the mirror, much like on the cover photo that I use for YouTube, but I've recreated it. But it's a man standing into the mirror, and the glass of the mirror is shattered. It's fragmented. And each shard of this mirror, it reflected a different version of this man. Some were tired, some were angry, and some were lost. And he just stared at it, trying to make sense of the pieces. And that image, it spoke to me, guys, because that image is so many of us, men who have been told by society that we're the problem. Men who go to work and they give everything and still are told you're not moving the needle. Men who come home and feel like strangers to their wives and also ghosts to their kids. Men who are secretly questioning if they really matter at all in this world. But let me be real with you guys for a second. Some of the worst damage, it doesn't come from society. It doesn't come from our boss. It doesn't even come from our wife. It comes from the voice inside, the self-talk, the whisper that says, you, sir, are not good enough. You, sir, are too much for this world. You're never going to get this right. Guys, that voice is a damn liar. And here's the truth. We can't stop the lies that come from other people. We can stop the lies that we believe. And we must stop those lies that we tell ourselves. Brother, listen and listen closely. You, my friend, are a son of the Almighty God. You were created on purpose. You were designed with purpose. You reflect the image of the Creator. So if this reflection in the mirror is fractured, It's not you that's broken. It's the mirror. It's the perspective that needs to change. Here in a minute, I'm going to walk you through the exact same framework I use in my programs to help men rebuild. I'm not going to use all the fancy language that I use inside the coaching room, but I am going to use language that is real, straightforward, man-to-man talk that you can actually use today. Here's the deal, guys. This mission of masculinity, it's much too important for me just to hold it back. And I'm not going to hide it behind some paywall. I'm giving it to you right now, right here on this podcast, because I believe in the mission of men that much. If this message strikes you, if it lights something inside of you, then maybe this is your moment to start the journey. And if it is, I want you to take it. Take it. Now, for the men who are wanting and ready to do the deeper work, there's going to be some different paths where I can walk with you in it. There's a brotherhood, there's a structure, and there's coaching that I'll tell you about at the end of this episode. But right now, I want to give you that framework so that you can change your life starting today. Gentlemen, here we go. I'm going to give you the exact same framework that I use in my programs. Like I said, it's not going to be packaged in the same way. I had to break it down a little bit for time, but I also wanted to just give it to you in straightforward terms. It's not branded or anything else. It's 6 different steps. I had to count those 6 different steps. And the first one is legacy. Guys, we got to know who we are. And let's be honest, most men in today's world, they don't know who they are at their core. And there's some reasons behind that. Maybe they never had anyone show them. You feel broken because you came from broken. Maybe your father was absent. He was one of these guys who worked too much, didn't come home, spent time at the bar rather than with you, didn't play catch with you, didn't talk to you, whatever the case may be. Or maybe he was abusive, someone that you chose not to be around. Maybe your parents were simply divorcing at the time when you were growing up, and all you saw was the chaos and didn't see his masculine leadership. And deep down, you've carried that fractured identity like a hidden scar. But I want you to hear this today, guys. That was your origin story. That is not your identity. You are not defined by that man who left. You are not cursed by the pain that you came from. You are a son of the Most High God, and you were never meant to figure it out all alone. You were meant to be shown how to walk like a king by your father who represented the king. Now, I want you to change your mindset. When you walk into a room, I want you to walk in like you belong there. Because, my friend, you do. Not because of what you've done, but because of whose you are. Whose you are. And this is where everything starts. Because if you don't know your identity, every decision you make is built on sand. You're going to chase validation. You're going to chase approval. You're going to chase status. And you're still going to feel like a fraud when you lay your head down. But when you know that you're a son, you stop trying to prove yourself. And you start living your identity rather than living for all these other things. And some practical steps to get you there is I want you to write out, who am I when I'm at my best? Not what other people expect, but who God created you to be. And I want you to meditate on verses like Romans 8:17 and Genesis 1:27. And today and every day, declare over yourself, I am a son of God. I'm not an fill in the blank. I'm not an orphan. I'm not a piece of trash. I'm not weak. I'm not whatever you need to tell yourself. But first and foremost, you got to accept that identity in God. Second part of this is I need you to put the lies to bed. Let's be real. Most of your limiting beliefs that you have right now, and we all have them, they didn't start with you. They were planted like seeds in the ground of your soul. It might be by a coach who broke you down instead of building you up. It might have been a parent who said, you're never going to amount to anything, or a boss who only noticed your mistakes. And now, guys, that voice, it sounds like yours because you've repeated it so much in your heads. The most dangerous lies, they're not the ones shouted. They're the ones whispered, and they sound like your own voice. It's time to stop carrying the weight of someone else's dysfunction. You cannot lead yourself your family, or anyone else if you're still believing the lies that were never yours to begin with. Some practical steps on this is I want you to write down the 3 most negative thoughts that you hear inside your head. And I want you to ask, whose voice is that really? Is that my voice? Or when did I start believing that? Whose voice is that? And I want you to take that and I want you to replace each one of those lies with the truth. For example, a parent who says that you're not good enough, you might state, you know what? They say I'm not good enough, but I can change. I can change the way that I parent. I can change the way that I show up in the world. I want you to replace each lie with the truth. I want you to make it visible and I want you to speak it out loud. Number 3 is we have to get to work, guys. We need to rebuild the temple. And when I say rebuild the temple, I mean 3 things: mind, body, and soul. And guys, I don't want to steer you wrong here. This isn't about having 6-pack abs or be a person on Instagram who is a talking head. This is about alignment. Your mind, it's your war room, guys. Your body is your battleground and your soul is your anchor. A man that's divided in these 3 areas, he's already defeated. But when these 3 are in sync, you, my friend, become unshakable. A man who trains his body but neglects his mind is a weapon with no aim. And a man who feeds his mind but neglects his soul is a tower without a foundation. So moving on to the practical steps in rebuilding the temple, for your mind, I want you to start a morning ritual that starts in scripture, follows into silence, journaling, and a strategic focus. For your body, 20 minutes every day of movement, make it non-negotiable. You have to be disciplined. You have to anchor yourself in discipline. Nobody else is going to do this for you. And for your soul, you need to reconnect with God. You need to honor the Sabbath. You need to worship him with your entire body, your mind, body, soul. And you need to create space to be able to hear his voice. Moving on to number 4. I want you to understand that emotions are metrics. They're not conclusions. Most men don't know how to handle emotions effectively. So what they do is they either numb these emotions or they explode. Emotions, guys, are simply data points. They're not your destiny. They are signals. They're not commands. They are a check engine light, not the steering wheel. Guys, feelings don't define you. They inform you, but you still get to choose the direction. You get to choose the heading. It's time to stop fearing what you feel and start leading yourself through it. So some practical steps on emotions. When you feel, I'm going to use the word, when you feel triggered, I want you to pause and ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What is this emotion trying to tell me? I want you to say out loud that this is a feeling. It's not a fact. So I don't want you to go out there and react to this emotion. Don't vent recklessly. I want you to process that emotion. What does it mean? What is God trying to tell me? What is my own personal body trying to tell me? If it's from God, of course it's right. If it's from yourself, you might have to run it through a couple filters because we don't always tell ourselves the truth. Number 5, when we get ourselves in alignment, when we rebuild that temple, when we understand our emotions, now it's time that we step into service. Guys, you weren't built for a life of self-protection. You were built for mission. Once you rebuild, it's not about comfort. It's about contribution to society. A selfish man dies forgotten. A servant of the world leaves a legacy. Service is where the man becomes a leader. And it starts in your home. Then it moves to your team, then your community, and finally, your calling. So here's the practical steps in that. Lead in your house like it's your battlefield. Not one where there's war, but one that you're willing to serve before being asked to serve. Use your talents for others. Offer value, lift burdens, and meet needs. That's what service is. I want you to pray this daily. God, who do you want me to serve today? It's simple on purpose. Who do you want me to serve today? And then number 6, let's wrap this all out with return to your legacy. You could also call this return to your lineage. You started out this journey questioning, am I worthy? Am I worthy? Now, you don't just know your identity, but you own it. You're human, guys. You're not perfect, but now you're forged. And now it's time to go back to your family, your community, and your circle. And you need to be the example that you may never have had in your life. And your story isn't just your story anymore. It's someone else's permission to rise. So returning to your lineage, I want you to tell your story. I want you to tell it with honesty, not putting yourself as the hero, but how you were able to change because of his grace. Build systems that outlive you. Build systems that have spiritual discipline, family values, wealth that blesses others. Speak legacy to your children. Speak it to your family, to your wife, and most importantly, speak it to yourself. So guys, the next time you catch your reflection and it feels fractured, I want you to remember something. That mirror, it's a damn liar. God's word, his word isn't. You're not broken, guys. You're simply being forged right now. And there's a difference. So there's a few different paths you can take from here. First, you can take this exact framework, the same one I use inside of my coaching programs, and you can put it to work starting today. If you've got the discipline and you've got the fire, you can absolutely rock this on your own. But the other path is if you want guidance, you want accountability, I want you to book a call with me. The Calendly link is in the show notes. I want you to book that 30-minute call and let's talk about where you're at currently as a man and where you're wanting to go. But either way, if you're just getting started or you're ready to go deeper, I highly recommend that you sign up for my newsletter, and you can find that on my website. It's right in the navigation at fireforgedleader.com. And that's where I share weekly insights, behind the scenes content, and resources that are going to keep you locked in, meant to live fragmented. You are meant to lead. Now let's get to work.
You have just experienced the heat and pressure of the forge. Remember, words without action are meaningless. Now, after the heat of the forge, shape your thoughts, quench your brain, then put your new tools to use, adding to your leadership. Tune in next week for more lessons from the forge.